Hello and welcome to the sports show live from Cooperstown, New York, home of the Baseball Hall of Fame, where the one and only Derek Jeter is about to be inducted and enshrined for all time. Now, Bob, we just visited Mariano Rivera. How'd that go?
It was great. I got the ball signed. I talked to him for a while. He didn't stay long, unfortunately. He had a lot of other things to do, I'm sure. But we got to meet him, and we're gonna try to get him on the show because I gave him the cards and all the info, and he took it. So it went pretty well.
I agree. It went pretty well. Morning just started. We're going to go over to the museum now. I believe it's this way. Would you consider Mariano greatest closer of all time?
Yeah, I would say yes. I mean, I did like Bruce Sutter growing up. He was amazing. Trevor Hoffman was a joke. He was only I know he's in the Hall of Fame, but I wouldn't put him there. He never beat the Yankees. But I love Bruce Sutter with the Cubs, with the Cardinals. But Mariano is the best, yeah. But there were other great ones. I mean, Gossett was great. Sparky Lyle for that little short period with the Yankees, late 70s, was great.
Who else did you notice on the docket for this induction? Because it's not just Derek Jeter.
Oh, right. No, it's not. It's Larry Walker. He was an amazing player with Rockies. He was also a great player with Montreal. And everybody thought that the Yankee fans all thought that the Yankees could beat them in '95 if there was, or '94 if there wasn't a strike. That would not have happened. Montreal would have killed the Yankees. The Expos would have won that World Series. They were stacked. They had Pedro and Randy Johnson, and back then the Yankees couldn't either one of them. So, but Larry was great. He deserves to be in. He's a hit machine. And Ted Simmons, I remember when I was a little kid with the Cardinals, we can never get the man out. He was a rock. And he played later with the Milwaukee Brewers. They should have won the World Series. They were hardly small bangers. They led the league in home runs. They had a ridiculous amount, and they ended up losing to the upstart Cardinals. I don't want to say upstart; they were good, but they lost in Game 7 in 1982. But Ted was an amazing player. He was just a rock, and he was great with the cards too. And Marvin Miller's going in. He started the. I think he was an agent. If I remember right, he was an agent that helped the free agents get going. Really get kicked in. He used to take on the teams, and it paved the way to where they are today. So
yeah, it's a big docket. Obviously, Jeter is the highlight, but There's also appears to be several already inducted Hall of Famers here. You ran into Pete Rose last night?
I ran into Pete Rose last night. He was amazing. Put him in because, he was so. I mean, as a player, he was not nice. You did not want, unless you were a Reds player or a Reds fan. He was so hard, and he would take you out. But that's the kind of hard-nosed guy you need to win, and he was a win. He was one of the best. He won on the Reds. He was great with the Phillies. I mean, won World Series. He actually started his first year was 1963. It was an infant, and he played through the 80s. So, and I got to see him. We had a talk. He took the card. He's going to come on the show, and I had so much fun with him. We were joking around, and he was kind of trying to be Pete Rose, kind of a little tough, and I was giving it back. He was laughing, And I told him a story about my brother, how he met him when, my brother was 18, and my brother was at the two games where Don Wilson and I think it was Jack Billingsley pitched no hitters against each other on separate nights, and they both. Because my brother was at the games, it was Cincinnati against the Houston Astros, and it's the only time where opposing pitchers no hit each other on, consecutive nights. And he hadn't brought that up. He goes, "That's for that." I go, "I know." And I told him, my brother was down there, and somebody said, "There's Pete Rose." My brother goes, "Where's Pete Rose?" And Pete got mad. He says, "Hey, buddy, everybody's somebody in this life. Don't you forget it." So a year later, and my brother gets the bat boy job for the Dodgers, and when the Reds came into Dodger Stadium, there's a bat on the ground. My brother picks up and hands it to Rose. He goes, "You know who I am?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Everybody's somebody, buddy, and don't you forget it." He goes, "Oh, it's
laying the smackdown on Pete Rose,
Yeah,
Tony
yeah.
Spino.
Pete laughed.
Let him know.
He didn't remember, but he like goes, "Boy, I do believe that story." I go, "Yeah, that really happened, Pete." My brother talks about it all the time. But he was great, you know. He buddied around. One guy goes, "I'm a Mets fan. You beat up Buddy Harrelson," and he wanted to talk about it. And the guy just pouted and left because he don't even know Buddy Harrelson. He goes, "Wayne Garrett came after me." You know, I was a Mets third baseman, and they both kind of tried to jump him, and it was a hard takeout at second base. And next thing you know, Pete's punching Buddy. And Buddy was a little thing, you know. Pete's big, but yeah, I mean, he was awesome. We had fun. Let's see. Oh, we met Rafael Soriano last night too. We were in the restaurant, and you know, the person I was with, who's that? I go, it's Rafael, and he was great. He was just, you know, he can't. When we were done eating, he came over, he's taking pictures with them, and he took our cards. He, you know, I told him come on the show. And,
Excuse us.
Sorry. And so I know Joe Torre is around. They're all staying at the hotel down the street, and we're gonna go in the Hall of Fame now and check it out, and then we're gonna be at the induction later on, and we're gonna see if we can get some people on, you know. And I promise you guys we're gonna be up here shooting, and we are. So this is a lot of fun. Is anybody ever come here in the future, I would do it. You know, it's a great museum.
Want to come on the show and talk about you? You can also come, yeah, and talk about all the things you filmed.
I don't want to come on and talk, but
Yeah, and bring it to anybody you know who'd like to with the Marlins. We'd love to have them on.
Oh, that's awesome.
My
Cool. Where
brother
are you
worked
based
at,
out of?
I worked at ESPN. We're from the state of the Northeast.
Oh, okay.
I worked at ESPN, and I'm doing my own thing now, and,
Uh-huh.
and it's working really well. And my brother's trained at UCLA with the Bruins. And,
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
and my brother actually knows Derek. So if you ever see him, tell him Tony Spino said hi and come on his brother's show.
All right. I'm not that tight with Derek.
Okay.
But,
Any other player though? You let me know.
all right. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Have fun, guys.
Thank you. The one and only Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Ever been here, Bob?
I have yesterday for the first time ever.
Also, my first trip.
You know what? I should have went years ago with my family, and I decided to stay home like a dummy.
Who's this player, Bob?
Oh, this is Ozuna. He used to always say "Holy cow!" He's a sports fan, but he was also a great shortstop with the Yankees. He won MVP in 1950, and they gave him a cow when he retired, and they put it in the Hall of Fame. He was amazing player. And you know, when I was real little, when we first announced him, I hated him because he was so Yankee, and I was Met. But as the years went on, I really came to love him because even though he was a homer, he was a lot of fun. And I mean, he would always be afraid if it was lightning out. He'd go home in the seventh inning. It's lightning. I'm going over to GW. I'm getting out of here. And that's what he was doing.
Holy cow. There, Bob nailed it right away. Holy cow. Phil Rizzuto. Did you read that plaque, Bob, or you just knew?
I knew.
You knew.
We have there's
Donations. Yeah, the Hall of Fame definitely needs donations.
See this? St. Louis Browns, right? They were the Baltimore Orioles in 1870.
A little the reflection of the light's making it hard.
Yeah,
to
it is kind of
read.
hard because the reflection is not too good. But that pennant, they were suspended for 70 years. They were the Baltimore Orioles, and they in the 1870s, and they did something not too, proper, and the league suspended them. And they actually, you can see there's the Oriole right there. Okay, and when they came back, they were never allowed to. They didn't want them back in Baltimore for 70 years, so they moved to St. Louis and became the Browns, and they were the American League team, and they ended up playing the Cardinals in the World Series in 1944 with the one-handed outfielder, and I forget his name off here. They ended up losing to the Cards with that, and I think a couple of years later they went out, they folded, and they went back to Baltimore, and now they are the Orioles. So
there you have it, little history lesson from Bob.
Here is John Buck.
I don't know if you can see that.
This is the
It says the John J. Buck O'Neill Lifetime Achievement Award.
right, and that's Buck. And the statue. This is like a gentleman's award. That's what that is. Like the NHL has it. They have the Lady Bing, which is the gentleman of the year, you know. And I still remember one year when they gave it to one of the Bruins, and then he went up and beat up the lady in the stands with their own boots.
Say again?
That's true. Terry O'Reilly won it one year. He won like Lady Bing, and which is the gentleman, you know. And
Party foul.
and then he comes to Madison Square Garden. They play the Rangers, and they get him a fight, and some lady was yelling at him, so he climbed up the stairs and blew up and beat her with whoop. Some gentleman.
You'd be in big trouble now.
These guys on the wall, they were the original founder. A lot of them were the owners of the team. And, end of the last year, beginning, or end of the 1800s, early 1900s. Comiskey was the one that wouldn't pay the White Sox. He wouldn't pay the White Sox, and they did that.
The Black Sox.
Yeah.
He was approached to throw in,
Yes.
and he declined.
Yes. And Alex Grover.
Comiskey Park.
Grover was a great player. He played in the teams, the 19 teams. And when he got old, everybody thought he was washed up. And the Cardinals in 1926 took him as a pitcher. They picked him up. And he struck out 20 with the bases loaded in Game 7 at Yankee Stadium, even though he was like 40 years old. And Ronald Reagan actually played it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Mr. Spalding, you know him because you ever had a glove, Spalding.
Yeah, Spalding.
Spalding, yep. Eddie Collins next to him. He was with the A's.
So now we know why their basketballs aren't exactly the best.
Yeah, I think he was
He's a baseball guy.
Baseball.
He's a baseball guy.
Yeah. Eddie Collins is.
By the way, Spalding, I'm more than happy to make a modification to that statement if you support the show.
Yeah, right. All these guys were inducted in 1939. I believe that was the first year that they inducted.
Sorry, Bob, just doing a battery check. We're good.
Eddie Collins was a superstar for his day. The A's were superstars. They could rival the Yankees in a lot of ways. Philadelphia A's used to win a lot. Connie Mack was their owner and manager for 50 years, and he would never wear a uniform. He wore the old Civil War top hat and the black coat.
Wow.
Willie Keeler, he had the 44-game hitting streak that Pete Rose broke. Hit him where they ain't. He would always get hit. That's what he used to say. And Van Johnson was one of the early founders of the league. And there's Connie Mack. He owned and managed the Phillies from the 1870s to the 1920s. So for 50 years, he was amazing. Two speakers of legend, and of course, Cy Young, the award winner.
If you don't know who Cy Young is,
yeah, he has 511 wins lifetime.
I wonder if you've ever seen a baseball game in your life.
Harmon Killebrew was a great Minnesota Twin, and also Washington. He had 573 home runs. He just died recently, actually. But he was one of the first. I used to like when he played the Yankees. He would go in there. Number 3 would just beat him. Him and Rod Carew and Tony Oliva. And those they were the Orioles before the Orioles a couple of years before. They had a great power team, and he was the leader of that team. He was amazing. Here's Lou Brock. Lou, for years he had the stolen base record until Ricky broke it. But he was, weirdly enough, the Cardinals and the Cubs are rivals. And he was drafted by the Cubs, and they traded him in 1964 for in the first year when he was a rookie, for some guy that, I don't even know who he is. And he came back to haunt them and everybody in the league. He was so fast. I mean, like, all you had to do is get a base hit, and before you know it, Cardinals are out. And there's a few more over here too. We'll go here first. Ferguson James, I remember him when I was a kid. He pitched on the Cubs in '69 when the Mets came back and knocked them off. But he was their ace. He was an amazing pitcher, and he did get in trouble a little bit with drugs in the '70s. But in the late '60s, he was their pitcher, and he was just really hard to beat. He was a great player. Gaylord Perry with his playing around with the Vaseline on the ball and filing down the baseball.
So this is where that came from.
Yeah. Yeah,
This guy.
he had a brother named Jim who was also great. I mean, Jim played with the Twins, but he's been all over. He was with the Giants, Cleveland, Texas, all those teams on there. I mean, but yeah, he was a character though, and everybody kind of loved him, even though they hated him. They knew he was fixing the ball. Here's Raleigh Fingers, a legendary closer before Mariano. I actually met him once with Oakland A's. He won 3 World Series in a row. He beat the Mets, even though the Mets were up 3-2, which I mentioned. He looked at me, I go, I hate you. He goes, you're a Met fan. I go, yeah, you're right. And he knew exactly, but he was a great pitcher, and he was amazing. Here's Leo. X-Men. Leo actually played on Brooklyn in the 30s and on the Giants. And he was the third base coach when Thompson hit the home run in 1951. When everybody, the Giants won the pennant, he was the but Leo was a manager and hard as heck. He would go Leo the lip because he was screaming at the umps. He goes, the one thing I hate in life is an umpire. And he would go after him. And he was great. He was a character. He was a good player. Here's Schmidt, with his 500 gold gloves with the Phillies.
Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt. Yeah, I think he won 4 gold gloves. And
I just assumed he cracked into the 90s in his career. He did not.
Oh, yeah.
He retired in 89.
Right. And here's Steve Lefty Carlton, one of the biggest. He was a great pitcher, but he wasn't as great as this guy. Okay? Because this guy could beat him. Tom Seaver, my personal favorite. And now, Seaver, I always knew he was great when I was a kid, but he was voted the greatest pitcher of our era, like last year. Seaver. Yeah. And he would own him. He would own Carl. And Carlton beat everybody else. And he wasn't a very friendly person, but he was amazing pitcher. And again, there's Reg. I have to tell you about him. Everybody knows about Reg.
Reginald
Martinez Jackson. That's right. He won World Series with Oakland. He won 3, although he only played in 2 because he broke his leg against the Reds. And then he won with the Yankees, obviously.
Long career.
And he was Mr. Clutch, started the Steinbrenner's drink. Phil, there's Phil, and it's got we talked about him before. And there's some other stuff, I don't know if we can get over here. There's actually Willie McCovey right there. He was Willie Mays' teammate. They go to call him Stretch. When he used to come in to play the Mets, Bob Murphy, the sports announcer when I was a little kid, goes, he swings so hard the wind changes direction every time because he was a big guy, And but that he was him and Mays there was something else in the middle of that lineup for the Giants. All these guys are great. Wilhelm, he pitched the longest ever. He pitched I think he started he pitched over 20 years. He pitched for a million teams, but he had a knuckle, and he never got hurt because the ball was full. He never put any pressure on his arm, so he just kept going. There's Catfish Hunter.
Catfish Hunter.
Yeah, he was on the of course the Yankees when they won it. Oakland 3 times. When they won it, started with Kansas. You know what? This is Kansas City. Oakland. They're the same team. They're the same because Kansas City. The franchise went from Philly to Kansas City to Oakland. That's how. That's actually Connie Mack's old team, or new team. And then we got Will Stark. He was Clemente's teammate. And he was amazing, just amazing player. Sorry for the wait. Oh, wait a minute. I talked about the vacuum cleaner. Here it is. Brooks Robinson. He won 18 Gold Gloves in a row, I believe. The man was, and he could hit, couldn't run, but everything else he could do. That team. He taught me that the best team don't always win. Because when they didn't win in '69, I was a little kid. I realized the best team don't always win. That's why it was a miracle when the Mets won. There's Don Drysdale, who actually my brother, I believe, he ended up marrying Dave Meyer's sister Ann, who was a basketball star. And I knew Dave. He was on the Buffalo Bills trainer. So he's gone now, but Annie's a great person. There's George Kell. In the old days, he was an amazing hitter. Lou Aparicio was an amazing fielder. and I think he played with Chicago, the White Sox. Yeah, there you go, White Sox. And here's Walter Austin, and he had 24 one-year contracts. He would never sign it to the Dodgers. Who said when he left, he sort of took over for him, but he started in the 50s, so he was there for years, all on one-year contracts. He would never sign a second. You're funny. You might end up becoming in politics. He actually pitched a perfect game on Father's Day in 1964 at Chase Stadium. He was an amazing pitcher for the Phillies, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Los Angeles. It was just amazing. And I think I actually missed one. I think Tom Seaver's over here.
We caught Seaver, Bob,
We caught Tommy?
but we'll give him one more look.
Yeah, we'll give him one more because he was the pitcher of the generation. He was so great when I was little, but even the Mets, when they stunk, I would just look at the paper 4 or 5 years old, oh, Tom's pitch today, we're going to win. And we would be world beaters. Nobody could beat us. Like, we were the best team on earth. And he was the best pitcher on earth. He was great. Here is, let's see what we got, Nelly Fox. Good solid little flick. We have Phil Negro here, too. And, wait, here's Thomas Sawyer, right?
Tommy.
There he is.
I loved when I can't remember which Olympics, maybe the early mid 2000s, he came out of retirement to coach the Olympic team and they won the gold.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Socia, you were right there.
No, Mike was there. Mike was on the team. That's
Yeah.
right. Here's Phil Negro. He was also a knuckleballer, and he pitched for about 1,000 years. And he's a legend with the Braves, and he was a great player. You know, here's something too. You might want to get this leading strikeout guy of all time.
Who is
Nolan
this guy?
Ryan. But notice
I know him.
Notice what his name is, though.
Lynn.
Lynn. When we were little kids, when the Mets won the World Series, it's his only World Series win ever, and he was on it. And for years, the guy didn't want to give up the jerseys. He had to buy it from the guy.
Forget how long his career was.
Oh,
27 years, I believe.
Right. But he was a rookie, or maybe second year with the Mets when they won it. I think he came in '68. But no, it was actually early.
Was he a rookie out of college?
That I'm not sure, but I know we had him and he threw really hard. When the Mets traded him, they traded him for a guy named Jim Fregosi, who was a great all-star at one time, but unfortunately he was 1,000 years old, and you know, Nolan was still a kid. And I was like, I'm sitting there going, they should not do it. Okay, and you know, I mean, and they were wrong for doing it because Fregosi was out of the league in a year, and Nolan went on to be Nolan. But his name is Lynn, and I'll tell you why. Like, nobody knew that at first because you always go by Nolan. And when the Mets won, they were on Ed Sullivan, and I have their album, and it says each one of their names on the back. I had the picture, and it has L. Nolan Ryan. I went to look it up. It is Lynn. That is his first name.
Potentially, we're looking at a guy, Nolan Ryan, who was playing professional baseball at the end of his 40s, which is unimaginable. Even if he was 18, he's still in his mid 40s. So what Nolan Ryan did was unbelievable.
Right. Here's Charles Red Ruffin. He was an amazing player. Again, you know, the Yankees with Rupert, he stole all those Boston players. He was great with Boston. He was great with the Yankees. He won World Series with them. He was clutch. There's Casey Stengel. Needless to say, you know, he's Casey, so I'm not going to say much. He's got the most World Series. I believe he's got the most Yankee wins ever and World Series wins ever. He's close to Joe McCarthy, though. So they're really close. Ranch Rickey, he brought Jackie Robinson in. He was with the Dodgers when he was running them, and brought him in 1947. And the rest is history. You know, this guy's interesting because Little Poison, and he's got a brother named Big Poison. They're on the Pirates, and they played the Yankees in 1927. they got routed. They could get them 4 straight. Ruth and Gary owned them. But these 2 guys were amazing players on the Pirates. Like, really amazing. And I believe his brother's over in the other plaque down there. But he was an amazing player. And Roy Campanella, he was the first black catcher ever. He was on the Dodgers. He brought him in with Jack. He ended up crippled later in his life. He got in an automobile accident. Lou Boudreau, I believe he was with Cleveland and Boston, right? And Boudreau was an amazing, just a pitcher. And he had a hot bat. He was just a great player. They always the Braves had great pitchers. One spot, Boudreau.
Where's the man?
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Zach Davis. It's funny. Back then, 1909. That's a good last name. He's a great player, though. He really was. Oh wait, I believe this is Hank Greenberg, right? Yeah, and he was the first Jewish player.
That's nice of you. Thank you, man.
First Jewish player.
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
he had a
right.
great time. They won.
Oh,
in,
just
the Tigers won
my birthday.
in 1935. He won 2 because he was on for 33, and he was the star. He was, and they tried not to pitch to him. I know one year he had 58 home runs, and they didn't want him to beat Ruth,
Thank you.
so they stopped pitching to him at the end of the year. So he ended up with that. But Greenberg was amazing. There's no doubt about it.